What's up, Vetters? Patrick here with Vetted. So, Joe Rogan recently had on a couple comedians on his podcast, Jay Okerson and Luis Gomez, I believe is his name. Great comedians, big fan of theirs. Should know their names a little bit better. But regardless, during this podcast on Joe Rogan, they bring up something I didn't actually want to cover, but now I feel like I have to. Basically, they bring up some photographs that are going around of alleged alien bodies that allegedly Luis Elizondo has been sharing, right? Well, I've got the full story, and in fact, I've got a lot more information about this than other people. You see, I was kind of a part of these photos coming out, and I'll give you all the details, all right? So I got a lot of information here that you're not going to get anywhere else. I hate directly being involved with the story, to be honest with you, but it is what it is. So I'm just going to tell y'all exactly what happened. You may or may not have heard about these pictures, and if you haven't, well, today you're going to find out the full story. Please hit that like button, Vetters. That really helps out the videos. And, of course, if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. I put out new videos about the UFO phenomena every week, and I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers before the end of the year. Let's make that happen, Vetters. So let me play this clip from Joe Rogan, and then we'll come back on the other side of it, and I'll explain everything.
Oh, Jamie, speaking of UFOs, did you see Lou Elizondo, these photos that are supposedly of a real alien?
Oh, here we go.
Bro, it's so dumb. The photos look blurry. Of the photos of the dead alien, like you can't even zoom in on that. You can't even fucking focus. Look at these. Yeah, that thing. Look at that. What is that? What's that? What is that? How about better pictures? This is crazy. These are the only pictures? Is this from the 40s? Like, what's this picture from? What is this?
Oh, people want to believe.
Bro, so bad. Me too. I'm like, maybe the bottom ones.
It was funny. Somebody asked me, you know, Sean Donnelly and Dan St. Germain have a podcast now about alien encounters and all that kind of stuff. And they both really believe it. And they were like, what would it take for you to believe, Jay? I was like, irrefutable evidence.
Yeah. I have to shake hands with an alien.
the one thing I've never seen, irrefutable evidence.
There's a lot of shenanigans going on for sure.
On the back of one of those photos.
Alien, oh, it's 1993. Alien hybrid child born to a 15-year-old girl, subject of ET genetic experiment, under chin, neck, and upper torso view. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's under chin. And then what's the other photo?
It's the same. It's just the same. It's just one photo.
Wasn't there another one? It seemed like there was two photos.
That's just with this particular one.
But at the top, yeah, the one on the bottom. What's that one on the bottom? That one on the bottom seems a little like turned to the side, right? Is that the eyeball supposedly?
Isn't it just one of those? What are those babies called that are born like that?
Oh, Harlequin babies?
Yeah.
It could be anything, man. I mean, it might not even be human. I mean, it might not even be, you know, who fucking knows?
Do you think, I mean, like someone like Donald Trump can hold in the information, like,
I don't think
about his daily day?
You don't think they tell him? I don't think he can.
But who can
He's
sit,
playing golf.
But who can sit on that information if you know that? Wouldn't it be terrifying to you know, it's almost that, to play someone who knows about aliens existing, you think also breaks off and plays golf and decides what they want to have for dinner tonight?
100%.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I think...
It's like finding out vampires exist. It would change everything.
I think it's a fun way to have information that you don't give to the rest of the world. And if you're the head of a giant defense contracting agency that's been back engineering UFOs for the last 50 years, it'd be probably pretty cool to know some shit that other people don't know and not tell anybody and still go to brunch.
But how are you not so consumed that you go...
Because you're a psychopath.
Hey, you want to start a new, want to start a new Netflix series tonight? Like, it just seems like you'd be... It's the same way I don't believe people have, like, speaking to the dead powers or psychic powers. I'm like, you'd be... You know what I mean? It's never like, oh, what is that? Tell your loved one that you missed them terribly. They miss you terribly. I'm actually... You guys went to McDonald's? I'll treat myself to some... Like, how does your mind go anywhere else but, like, I'd speak to the dead? That would be consuming.
Yeah, I would never sleep.
It's supernatural.
All day talking to somebody about the War of 1776.
You just go nuts. It's just not real.
There was a video.
Can you imagine you could just tune in to any time and talk to like some Civil War soldiers.
You don't have a you don't go pick out a new pair of sneakers while that's going on. I need new sneakers, I think.
All right, so real quick, before I jump into the story, I just want to respond to what Big J Okerson was saying there, which I agree with. And I've made that comment many times on this show. If people knew this, how can they just live their regular life? It's kind of crazy, right? And that thought is definitely, at the top of my mind a lot about this. So good points bringing up Jay there. Really agree with you. All right. Now let me jump in and tell you exactly what happened, right? What happened was, okay, this is how this all went down, of these pictures ending up on Joe Rogan. All right. So basically, there was a Twitter space last week in the evening. And this woman was in one of these Twitter spaces that I went into, which I never go into Twitter spaces. And I go into a Twitter space, and this is what happens. Just the timing is incredible. So I'm in this Twitter space. This woman is speaking that everyone's paying attention to. And she's saying things, and she brings up someone that I know. His name is Ron James. He's a UFO documentarian, filmmaker, journalist, right, covering this topic. The Accidental Truth, made that film. Then he's in the process of releasing another film, the sequel to Accidental Truth. And we text here and there, and we're very friendly, and he's a really nice guy, and he's been on the show a few times. So I text him and say, hey, man, there's someone in this Twitter space throwing your name around, because they kept throwing his name around. And I just wanted to let him know. So whatever. I tell him, he decides to join the space. And this is where it begins, because Ron has a lot of contacts and not a lot of knowledge. And I didn't know anything, right, about what's going on. So he jumps in there, and I leave the space, essentially. But what I find out the next day is that he had shared these pictures with the X space, and then they just started to get spread around like crazy. And I talked to Ron the next day on the phone, and he told me, what happened. Basically, he had a picture himself that he had gotten from a guy that had given him other pictures. In fact, if you remember last year, Ron came on my show and showed a UFO picture that went viral in the UFO community, and it was debunked as being just a diorama, right? If you remember that incident, well, that same guy who gave him that picture also gave him this picture of, quote, something strange and mysterious that might look alien, right? And so he shares that with Luis Elizondo. Hey, this is interesting. What do you think of this picture? And Luis Elizondo says, oh, I have another picture that's also interesting. It looks similar, and shares it with Ron, right? And that's where this all began. But according to Ron, neither him nor Luis Elizondo, one, ever claimed that the photos were vetted, or two, that the photos were alien. So that's what Ron says, right? They never said they were alien, right? But, to be fair, let's be real. You study UFOs and aliens. And when I say you, I mean the general you, right? Like, if you're studying UFOs and aliens and you have pictures like this, it's because you think they're alien, right? Let's be real. I mean, why not just, that's what we think. We think they're alien. So that's what I would imagine. But then you see, then it comes out that another gentleman on Twitter, who I won't name, says that he gave the picture to Luis Elizondo, right? And accompanied by that graphic that you saw Joe Rogan display, right, about that photo coming from Mexico City, 1993. It was some sort of, a woman gave birth to a hybrid alien, right? And that's what it was. So they were saying this was alien, right? And to be fair, there's nothing wrong with that, if I'm being honest. Like, somebody's got to get these pictures and vet them and figure it out. You know what I mean? I don't want to do it, but somebody's got to do that. So I really don't see anything wrong with taking in pictures of photos, videos, right, and just trying to figure out what it is. I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, we have to do that. But Joe Rogan's comments about the photos are, kind of spot on, right? Why is it out of focus? Why does it look like that? This is so weird. I agree. It's very weird, right? And very strange. But that's the whole story of how these pictures came out, what is actually being said about them. And again, I just want to be clear. Me personally, I'm of the opinion that screw it. Let's share these pictures, photos, video. What do you think they are? You know, let's get them. Let's put them out. I don't see anything wrong with that, to be honest with you. I think where the dilemma comes in is when you figure out what something is and then people just don't want to accept that obvious explanation, right? And that's really what the problem is. You know, if something gets actually debunked, people a lot of times don't want to believe it, right? But you need to do that to move on to the more compelling stories, right? And so just want to be clear here, you know, these photos are out. And the reason I didn't want to cover it is because they look like, you know, human babies, deformed or something wrong with the something, you know, that's what they look like to me. And I'm not showing those pictures. I'm not getting into all this mess. And I haven't shown the pictures except for what's in the clip of Joe Rogan. And I'll put a link in the description if you want to go check out the photos yourself. But yeah, they're human. And I just don't see the point of exploiting that or looking into that. But at the same time, again, it's okay to share those pictures and put them out and say, this is what I have. This is something interesting and strange, right? And let medical doctors look at it and figure it out. What's interesting is if you reverse image search those pictures, you found exactly kind of where they came from, right? Which is why I don't understand if you get a photo, reverse image search it immediately. Should be the first thing you do if you have a photo. Reverse image search it to see where else on the internet this photo has been, right? That's the first thing you should do. So just all out there to all you UFO researchers, first step when you get a photo, reverse image search it, right? So anyway, there's a full story. Maybe I left some things out. I don't know. Link in the description to the clip so you can watch it for yourself, and link in the description to the photos if you want to go check out those for yourself as well. So, all right, we'll see you on the next one, Vetters. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace.